guys, welcome to my channel. In today's video we're going to be talking about all the books that I personally would recommend if you are trying to get back into reading or if you're trying to start reading. We have some fantasy books, we have some thriller books, and we also have a massive pile of romance books. As someone who's been reading for 3 to 4 years, I feel like I know what I'm saying in this little genre right here. So if you guys enjoy this video, let's go. I'm going to be starting with my massive stack of romance books because this is the genre that I'm most familiar with. I don't really read too much thrillers or fantasies, and I've actually had to get my sister to do a few recommendations so I can have a few more in my stack. So props to her, love you queen, thank you so much for recommending these. Let's get into the romance stack. The last book we have is A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. Two people who both go to college together. She is kind of just she is like more poor than him. He's a very rich kid. His father actually owns the college, so you know they're not actually meant to work, right? Because she's poor, he's rich, and obviously his father also forbids him from dating, but they make it work and they come out and they have a little chemistry, a little spark, and they do end up together. And it's just like a really sweet, innocent and very easy book to read, so that's why I really recommend it for people that are trying to get back into reading or trying to start reading. The book we have is Some I Turn Pretty series, and I actually lost the first copy, like the first book in this series, so we're gonna have to do the second one. But again, these are very short stories. I'm pretty sure it did start on some sort of app like Wattpad. I could be wrong about that, so I need to double check my facts. But these books are just so easy to read. I think I read like these books in literally a day because they're really short. There's 3 books in the series, and basically it's about a girl who comes home for the summer to her summer house, which her mum's friends own, and her mum friend has 2 sons. And she comes back, she's really pretty that summer, and it's basically like a love triangle, but it's really good. There is also a series out for this, so I feel like I really recommend watching that also, but I do recommend reading the books even more because they have so much more detail and you understand what each character is thinking. But yeah, I really loved it. The next book we have is My Fault by Mercedes Ron. I actually read this really recently and I actually did really like it. The movies I didn't really like too much because I was just a bit like, right, okay, they're very toxic, and they were probably more toxic in the book, but like in book format it's so much more different, because you actually understand what the characters are thinking, as I said for the last book. And I just feel like this is just such an easy read because again, I'm pretty sure this did come from Wattpad originally, so it's very much Wattpad written, which I like in a book. I just feel like it really takes me back to my Wattpad days when I was like 13 and just like tearing up and eating these stories up. So this is why I love a book like this. It's just so easy to read, especially if you're in a reading slump or if you are trying to get back into reading. A book like this is really helpful for you because it's just so quick, easy paced, and there's not really much brain work going on when you are reading it. The book we have is Twisted Love by Ana Huang. This is actually the book that got me hooked onto Ana Huang. I absolutely loved it. I just feel like it's a really nice love story, even though it is a little bit crazy, but all her books are very crazy. It's about a billionaire, and basically they are forbidden to date because the woman that he falls in love with is his best friend's sister. So obviously his best friend is like, you are not dating my sister, I know how you are like, I know how you are with girls, that is forbidden. But those proximity, so that's why I love it. I just feel like it's a shortish book as well. I'm pretty sure it's just over 300 pages, so it's not going to take you very long to read at all, depending on your reading pace. But I just feel like it was a really nice, easy book to read, especially because I was in a reading slump before I actually read this book. So I feel like I can actually say that it does get you out of a reading slump, because then I went on to read like all of her books in a row. So I just feel like this is the perfect book if you are looking for a romance that's spicy, that's a little bit more on the unhinged side, but not too on the level of dark romance, then this is the book for you. The book we have is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham-Young, and this is more like a soft romance. There's not really too much smut into it, which if you don't enjoy smut, then I feel like Hannah Bonham-Young, all of her books would be really good for you to read, because as far as I know and as far as I have read, her books have the littlest bit of smut in it and it's not too much detailed. So if you're not loving the smut element of romance books, I feel like her books are perfect for you. This is just my favorite book of hers personally. I just feel like it's just so cute. Again, it was really easy to read. It was really easy to like relate to, because there was a lot of struggles in this book that people can relate to. So I just feel like this is the perfect book if you are in a reading slump, to get you out of it, or if you have started reading, this is the perfect romance for you. I feel like it's a really great way to test the waters if you like spice or not, because again, it does have a little bit in it, but it's not too extreme. And if you do like the spice, maybe you can try another book that has a little bit more on it. And if you don't like that, then you know what your preferences are. So I feel like a book like this is really good to start out with because of that element of the spice. We have Misfit by Elle Kennedy, and I actually read this probably about 2 years ago, and it's still a book that I really recommend to people that are beginning to read. Like, it's definitely not one of my favorite books out there, but it's good for people that are trying to get out of a reading slump or trying to get into reading, because it is literally just so easy to read. Like, it's the easiest book I think I've ever read. I'm pretty sure I read this in like 8 hours or something, and this is just over 400 pages too, so I feel like that's a really quick pace for me. But yeah, it's a really easy read, and the story is interesting enough for you to be hooked onto it. But again, it's easy, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. Definitely not my favorite romance books, but that's fine. I really recommend this. The next book we have is another book by Elle Kennedy, and that is The Good Girl Complex. This has a little bit more smut in it, and it's quite detailed, not on the like wavelength of other books for sure, but if you're not into smut, this is definitely not the book for you. And I'll put a little disclaimer at the end of this to let you know what books do have a lot of spice into it. But this book I really did love, because it's a short book, so it definitely got me out of a reading slump that I was in for a few months. I always find that if I am a reading slump, I just read like a short book that I know that I am going to enjoy. It's just more like picking up a book and actually starting it is the hardest part of being in a reading slump. So this book is definitely really good. I really loved the story of it. I loved how easy it was to read, and all these books I have shown you are just easy romances, and they are fun and they are cute to read, so that's why it's so good. I feel like if you are getting into reading, these books are perfect for you, especially romance. The next section I'm going to show you is my fantasy books. Now, half of these are actually my sister's and half of these are mine, so I'll let you know when they go into my sister's. She actually wrote me a few notes as well that I could put into this video about each book, so love her, thanks for that. The first book we have is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. This is actually like the second fantasy that I ever read in my entire life. I am a romance girly, so like this was very different to my genre, but I absolutely loved it. Like, I ate up the whole story. It took me like a day to read as well, and this is nearly 600 pages, so that is very impressive for me. But it's basically about dragons. That's what I'm gonna say. If you love dragons, and if you love a little bit of forbidden love in there, if you love a little bit of like hard love, then this will be the book for you, because it has a little bit of element of all genres. I think like it has bits that are really like, whoa, that's intense, but also has bits of romance and bits of fighting, and I just really love a book that has all genres in its own way. But yeah, I feel like if you are trying to get into fantasy, this would be the perfect book for you, because this is what got me into like starting my fantasy era. I'm still have Ishata Me, and this is the book that actually got me into fantasy. I just feel like this is a really good book to start when you are trying to get into fantasy or trying to get into reading. It's a very short book, the first one as well, but it is a 5-part series. That's the only thing. I feel like if you're not really into series, maybe this book isn't for you, but personally for me, I loved it. The only element that I didn't like is I feel like I saw so many people on TikTok talking about the man-made character called Aaron Warner, and he just really wasn't in this book much. But as books go on, it definitely does get very like, it's worth the hype around the woman-made character, which I actually kind of like. I feel like she's such a badass as well. This is like the perfect bit to start. What we have is, I'm not actually sure if these are like fantasies, like they're very much like mind games. I don't really know what genre they are, but that is the Inheritance Game series. I absolutely loved this series so much. Like, you don't understand how much I love this, and I just feel like it's really good for a beginner reader or someone that is trying to get back into reading, because it's just so fast paced. Like, the chapters are like 3 pages each. Like, it will literally be chapter 5 and then 2 pages later it'll be chapter 6. That's just how quick the chapters are, and I just feel like it's just such an easy read, but it also keeps you so intrigued and so curious as to what happens next, because it does play mind games on you. But when the plot twist came as well, I was like, whoa, aka, and this is basically about a girl that inherits a random person's money, all his money, like billions and billions and billions of dollars. She inherits that, and it's basically like finding out why she did, which I was intrigued from the blurb. Of fantasy books is actually the books that my sister recommended to me. She did actually write me a few notes in my little pink notebook, so we are going to see what she put. The first book we have is The Ninth House Lee, and she put follows Alex Stern as she's accepted into one of Harvard's 8 secret societies of arcane magic due to her ability to see ghosts. That sounds so amazing and so like intriguing, even though I have not read this yet. Like, that has literally sold me. Like, generally that has sold me. I kind of want to read this now, actually, into reading, or like need to get out of a reading slump. She said that it's quite fast paced and very easy to read, so I love that. Thanks for your recommendation, girl. As the first girl born in the last 50 years, she is kept locked in a tower. Oh my god, that sounds really freaking interesting as well. Well, she reads really good books. But again, she said the exact same things. It's just very easy to read, very easygoing, and she said that's a lot like Tangled, actually, so that really is interesting to me. So yeah, Eve, that's her recommendation. The next 2 books we have, she hasn't actually written anything on them, so I'm just gonna have to like go off to what she said about them, and that is 6 Crimson Cranes and A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I have actually heard a few things about this, but she really recommends this book if you are trying to get into fantasy. I feel like I see a lot of people saying that is to read a book by Sarah J Maas if you are trying to get into the fantasy element of reading, so I really love that. It's one of the most amazing fantasy books she has ever read, so I'm going to take her word for that, and I'm going to put this in the video. I'm sure you guys will see her in the comments later explaining a little bit more about each book, so definitely have a look out for that. But yeah, the section we have is all my thrillers, and again my sister has put a few on these because I have no idea. Like 5 of these that are actually mine and 2 of them are hers, so let's get through them. The first we have is The Inmate by Freida McFadden, and I just feel like her books are so easygoing. Like, Freida McFadden was the first ever thriller that I've ever read, and it is very scary to read, actually, but also they are very easy to read, and sometimes you can tell what the plot twist is, but that's not always the worst thing. Personally, for me, I flipping hate that, but someone with like maybe like anxiety or autism, I feel like that'd be really good for you. So The Inmate by Freida McFadden is perfect. I feel like it's just the most easiest book to read. Like, I'm sorry, I know that's not always a good thing in a book that is so easy, but it really is. The next we have is Binding 13 by Chloe Welsh, and the reason why I put this in my horror / thriller section is because this is the most saddest book I've ever read in my entire life. I literally sobbed at this book so many times throughout the whole thing. Like, oh my gosh. And like, this is a pretty heavy book, by the way, guys, but I feel like if you love a story with a little bit of tragedy, not always a happy ending, this is the book for you, because it's still such an easy read and it's easy to actually like piece together what's happening in your head. You don't have to like try and work out what's actually happening on each page. So I feel like this is still very good for first time readers or people that are in a reading slump. It is a hefty book as well, so like look out for that, but honestly it's so easy and the font is quite small, so also look out for that. Next books we have is actually a series, and again we are recommending Freida McFadden, and that is the Housemaid series, which was also put into a movie not long ago, which I went and watched a few weeks ago, and I absolutely loved it. Definitely not as good as the book still, but I feel like any movie that have been adapted from a book, they can't do it justice because we are left to our own brains, right? And I feel like we make up a lot of things on our way and how we see it. So that is why movies will never ever be as good as the books that you read. And these 3 books right here, these are the first books I ever read that got me into thriller, and I absolutely adored them. Like, generally adored them. I was like, my sister's behind my camera right now and she can vouch for me that I was literally like on my way and telling her everything about these books. Vouch for me.
It was so interesting, right?
Yeah. Just from my words, she was like, I need to read them. So like, generally such good books for first time readers, and she has never read in her entire life like a book like this. So like, I feel like that shows enough that this is great for a first time reader. Concludes our video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys also subscribe. See you in the next one.